皆さんこんにちは and welcome to Shogo's podcast. So today I like to talk about an idea that I always keep in mind when I want to try to make change in something. So to make a long story short, I want to start with a conclusion. This idea is that you shouldn't accept anyone to change. You should not expect someone to change just by trying to change their emotions or feelings or ways of thinking, and we need to change the system. Yeah. So this is the idea that I always keep in mind. So let me try to explain a little bit more. So whenever I see a lot of people, especially because when I was like, for example, when I was in university or when I was still in my teens, I did do a lot of volunteering, for example, to plant trees or help out kids without parents or, things like that. And I actually did a lot of volunteer to help out study abroad students from abroad and studying in Japan and these kind of things. And because I've always been interested in these should I say volunteer work and helping out people. I've of course met a lot of people, listened to a lot of people's speeches, about environmental, what should I say, people trying to solve environmental problems or social problems and so on and so forth. And this also actually spreads out to people who are trying to preserve traditional culture in Japan too, Japanese traditional culture too. A lot of these people, what I feel are misunderstanding is that, for example, there was someone saying there was a book in Japanese about climate change, and that person was saying, I don't know why, but people are not buying my books. So I don't know why, like this climate change, for example, global warming, these kind of stuff are really important for this world. Why aren't people buying my books? Or it could be in the world of traditional culture. There might be someone saying this culture is so fun to do. It's really interesting. It could be katana. It could be bows. It could be tea ceremony. It's so wonderful. Why aren't everyone else doing it? Why doesn't everyone else do it too? Why doesn't this excitement that I have, why doesn't it spread to other people? And what I really feel that these people are misunderstanding, that it's impossible. Don't expect anyone to move or change due to your trying to talk to each person's emotions and feelings and ways of thinking. Yeah. Of course, there are some people that can change just by trying to say, the world is in trouble right now. We need to change this, that kind of stuff. But at the same time, we need to understand about 70 to 80% of the people really is desperate just about their own selves, of course. And that is what should be the top priority, obviously, yourself, your own family and such, right? So trying to, what should I say, expect the goodwill of each person to always cooperate with you or always do what's right, is impossible. Right. If the world was much more rich and if all the systems in the first place were fair, I think there will be more people to have enough time and energy to care more about other people and the environment and such. And that is my daughter downstairs, sorry. I bet you can hear her. Yeah, so what I'm trying to say here is that if you really want to make change in something, if you want to actually try to solve climate change, if you want to really preserve some kind of culture. Now, I'm saying this especially to Japanese people because Japanese people really likes things that are ambiguous, right? You can understand from our culture. We always say Japanese people can't say on left or right. It's always like in between the gray zone kind of thing. Their opinions are always in the gray zone kind of stuff. And I really feel this among Japanese people. So what I always say is that if you really want to make change, you need to make change in the system. So I really feel, as a person who's been studying so much of history, to make videos and such, of course, and I personally am just a big fan of studying history, you can really understand that human beings have really not changed that much. So like the movies, the shows, the anime, the manga that moves people, moves people's hearts and what we're touched by. basically. The themes are always the same. It could be love, it could be loss, it could be friendship, it could be family. It's always the same. So humans fundamentally, I really feel, what we struggle in life, it could be a low self-esteem, or it could be a lack of love from our parents, or it could be anything. But I really feel that humans have always been struggling and fighting with the same things from ancient times. Of course, in the environment, the difference of the environment from when we were hunting animals with stone spears, and today, of course, the environment is completely different, and the problems that emerge are completely different from the past. But fundamentally, how humans are, I really feel we haven't changed that much. We continue repeat the same mistakes through history, and I really feel that we haven't changed, evolved that much. Yeah, but then at the same time, we really need to understand that this world is becoming a better place, though. I really love that book. I don't know if it's actually called the same in English, but there's a book called Factfulness, and it talks about that although the media tells us that the world is becoming a terrible place, and it's getting worse every single day, that's not true. The world has been becoming better, although in some fields the progress might be a little bit slow, but the world is absolutely becoming a better place. There's less poverty, there's less killing, and there's less social problems and everything. The world is becoming a better place, even if we haven't acknowledged it. So then, if humans don't fundamentally change, but the world is becoming a better place, then how is this happening? It's the system. A system is something that we can use to finally make change. Yeah. So I'm saying this to a lot of Japanese NGO groups, for example, or volunteering people, but if you really want to make change, okay, let's make something even more simple. Then, if you're volunteering in a group that goes and gather a litter on the ground, for example, and people are like, why do people litter on the ground? It makes the city dirty, it makes the environment dirty. Why is this happening? We shouldn't do this. And going up to each individual that actually litters on the ground and telling them you're doing something that you shouldn't do isn't going to be making any changes, right? You can easily imagine that. But Japanese people tend to do that, and it's really kind of like relying on each person's goodwill, But if you really want to change that's trying to talk to each person's emotions and ways of thinking, right? But if you kind of shift that to a system, of course, not everything is possible. But for example, simply making laws that you'll be fined if you litter on the ground. Yeah. Or you can maybe make it could be something else. If it's climate change, like if you, for example, make a system or a law that you absolutely have to help out trying to make the world to prevent global warming, for example. It could be giving extra money to companies who are working more for a better environment, things. I think this is something these are really obvious things that are happening already outside of the world so much, but this fundamental idea that if you want to make change, you need to change a system and not talking to each individual. This idea is definitely not that prominent in Japan. It's not that common, absolutely. And again, this goes for traditional culture too. A lot of people are like going around, going to school sometimes, the professional traditional culture, the professionals who train or work with traditional culture, they go to schools, they get the occasion to talk with kids. They talk about all the good things about the culture that they train in, and so on and so forth. And they always are saying, oh, but we still don't have enough young people training in it. That's impossible. We need to create a system. Like, for example, the government might financially help out the people who are training in traditional culture, giving them extra. If you can prove that you are a professional in traditional culture, you get extra money from the government because you are responsible for carrying on traditional culture. This is a system. This will absolutely make more people want to train in traditional culture, for example. Let me see if I can think of another example immediately. It could be if it's Iaido, like for example, if you train in Iaido, if you become a professional in Iaido, the katana martial art, you'll have more occasions of jobs. or if there's an easy to understand way of being able to earn more money, for example, then you will finally have more people training in it. And this is exactly the reason why I'm doing the things I'm doing right now. As I always say, the ultimate goal, the one thing I really want to do is trying to preserve traditional culture, right? It's one of the things I really want to do. But I'm never, ever going to be going up to a Japanese person and saying that this culture is great, you should do it too, because that's not going to work. Then what am I doing right now? I am trying to create multiple businesses. I started with YouTube, right? From now on, I might want to do stage arts, stage performances. I want to make this a business. I want to do merchandise selling. Yes, this will be another business. I would probably challenge in tourism again once the borders are opened. I'll challenge in the tourism business again. I want to get good results in all of these businesses. YouTube, thanks to you guys, I was able to get a certain amount of results already. So by showing the younger generations that if you train in traditional culture and if you have the right methods to do the right businesses, you will be able to survive and make money and make a living. I want to show them these results so they can follow them too. Going up to each person and saying how wonderful traditional culture is meaningless. Only to a very, very few amount of people like me who just falls in love automatically into it. To try to move the majority of the people, it's impossible. And that is the reason why I'm not going up to anyone to actually directly talk about the good things about traditional culture. I'm going to be creating businesses so they can see it, because I know that there's a lot of young people in Japan who originally trained in traditional culture because they did it in their club activities. They've been doing it since they were young. But if you actually go, if after graduating university, for example, if you start need to work, training in traditional culture, like teaching it, is definitely not an option for most people because you can hardly make any money from it. Yeah, you need to be you have to have a lot of money to be able to actually teach these things, because not many people are, first of all, interested in it. So not many students will come. And if you make it expensive, for example, you need to pay this much a month to be taught in tea ceremony, for example. If it's too expensive, no one would come to learn it, right, in the first place, even though the number of people who wants to learn in the first place are already low. You need to make it cheaper, right? And if you make it cheaper and the number of students is very small, you're not going to be able to make money from it, right? But still, each item that you use for training, each utensil and tea ceremony, for example, are really, really expensive. So you do need the money. So it's basically impossible for most people, right? But if I can show more people that you can make a living through teaching traditional culture, there is a route that you can walk through to make this possible. I think there can be more people who would want to train or make their the training that they're doing as a life career kind of thing. Yeah, that's exactly the reason why. The reason why I'm doing the things I'm doing right now is based on this fundamental idea that you cannot change someone. Don't expect someone to change just by talking to their emotions and ways of thinking. You need to change the system. So then everyone, as I always say, the ultimate goal of my life is to make all Japan lovers' dreams come true. So I know that there's a lot of people studying Japanese or willing to come to Japan to work or travel and even train our traditional culture. However, I am very afraid that Japan will not be able to provide these things in the future because Japan is facing a lot of social problems. We are losing our traditional culture, and the younger generations who are supposed to be carrying on the good things about Japan are dying because of all the social issues being shoved against them. So I really want to dedicate my life to try to make Japan a better place. I want to try to preserve traditional culture and evolve it, yes, and also try to solve the social problems and also help out the younger generations so they can have a brighter future. And to do that, my second step is to achieve 2 million subscribers by January 2023 on my main channel. So all your likes and comments will help to boost my videos to more viewers who have never seen my channel before. And my third and fourth step are to sell the merchandise on my channels, and also starting in the stage performances, with Team Let's Ask Shogo. So I hope you can check out all of the new activities and projects we're going to be doing in the future too. Okay? Then everyone, thank you so much for listening, and please let me know your opinions in the comments. Thank you so much. Bye bye.